Hi, thanks for joining me. Today we're going to do a first light and burn for the Newburn 5 wide, which is a part of the Newburn range of products, which is new to 2021. In that range you've got this version here, and then the Newburn Idyllic wide, which is the same stove but more of a traditional look. And then you've also got the Newburn 5 and then the Newburn 5 Idyllic. On the Idyllic versions you do also have the option of the brass fittings, which looks quite nice with the black handles and the slightly more traditional look. On the Newburn Newburn 5 Idyllic wide, you've got a good wide view of the fire and also the traditional look, which is quite uncommon. So let's begin with doing this first burn. So this stove's just been installed here. We've installed it into this chamber quickly to do this demonstration. So what I have set up here is all the kindling inside the fire, just sort of cross pattern with the firelighters inside. There's a few sort of different methods you can use. You can use sort of some lightly scrunched up newspaper and then the kindling on top, or you can do the stack where you put the two logs at the bottom and then you put the kindling on top. So the kindling then burns down and then sets fire to the wood on the bottom. So a few different ways of lighting the fire, but generally you just want to ensure the wood's nice and dry, good quality, and with lots of air ready to flow into it for when it's ready to light. So let's get the lighter, or the matches, sorry. Open the stove up there. So just put the door ajar slightly to begin with, just to allow lots of air to flow into the stove and ensure that both the vents on the bottom are fully open, because to begin with you want to have lots and lots of air flowing into the stove so this kindling is setting alight. So here on the bottom is the primary air on the left. That's the air flowing from underneath the grate, and then this one on here on the right is the secondary and tertiary burn, which the air is flowing from over the top of the fire. So you see now it's gradually picking up, lots of air, good draw on the chimney. As it gradually gets, you can hear the good crackling noises. That means the wood's nice and dry. And then you see on the top here we've put a few just slightly bigger pieces of wood on top to catch. Okay, so now we're back. As you can see, the stove is the fire has now become quite established, burning nice and hot. A good indication of that is the bricks around the actual chamber, the fire bricks, are staying nice and clean. If those are staying nice and clean, it means there's lots of temperature, lots of heat inside the fire chamber, and those are burning off any sort of soot particulates. So it's burning nice and clean at the moment, and it's getting pretty hot. So let's open the door up again. And now let's put a few, hold that shape, extra, slightly bigger pieces. So we're gradually building up the wood which we're putting onto the stove. Put that in there too. And then just leaving the door ajar just until these logs catch. And in a second, when those have catched, we'll close the door so it's completely shut, and then control it by these bottom controls here. So if you're mainly burning wood, which we're just burning wood here, you want to close off this left primary air flow, because the wood doesn't really need a great deal of the primary air coming from underneath. When it's established, it doesn't need much of it, so that can be fully pushed in when the stove's going, and then you pretty much control it by this right hand lever here, which is the secondary and tertiary airflow, which controls the air flowing through these series of holes at the back here, which is reburning the initial smoke produced by the fire, as well as funneling the air onto the glass, so helping to keep this nice and clean. So if you combine this with good dry wood, good air systems, it burns nice and clean, this glass will stay clean, and the bricks at the side will stay nice and clean, and it'll burn nice and efficiently. So we're nearly there now, the wood's getting nicely set alight. We'll just close it down, might be a fraction too early, but we'll see. So you see the difference in flames now. So it's died off as you close the door down. And then we'll just leave it like this for just a few more seconds as the stove just settles down, becomes becomes acclimatized to the different conditions. As you can see at the back here, you can see the air rushing through those holes. That's a secondary burn system working nicely. And then we'll just close down this bottom one here. So you won't see a great deal of effect when you close that one on the left down, because it's mainly closing off these embers at the bottom. Those will die down. They'll currently be very red, they will be, but that will close the air off to those. So that just creates it longer and more established fire instead of you burning through all the fuel very quickly. And that's burning nicely now. It's got a good amount of air in at the moment. And I probably would leave that open, just leave that open for the time being until it becomes more and more established. So we'll leave them, speed up the shoot now, and just wait for that to catch a little bit more. Okay, so now we can see this wood's burnt down nicely, well-established fire. So I'm going to open the vents up again, recharge. Just give it a bit of a push around. Just hold this here. Get a nice good ember base. So that's what you need to make sure when you're recharging it, you're recharging on nice hot embers. So put that piece in, and then now we'll go for a bigger log. So you're gradually building up from really small pieces of kindling, gradually building up to the larger and bigger pieces. So again, you can keep this, depending on your drawer, you can keep the door ajar slightly to begin with, or you can close it down. But you see how quickly the wood catches when you've got a nice hot ember base. If you let it go out too much, it smokes and it puffs and it doesn't go as well. But if you've got nice dry wood and you have the hot ember base, it catches real quick and you've got constant turnover. It's really easy to manage the stove doing it this way because you're keeping lots of heat in the chamber. That's the key to burning wood efficiently, properly and efficiently, is keeping the heat in the chamber. It's always the key. So that's burning quickly now, so I think we can close the door off straight away, leave the vents open for a second, and then, as I mentioned before, close off the primary airflow control, and then simply control it with a secondary tertiary burn here. And as you get the bigger and bigger piece of wood on, when you close it down, you're then going to have to refuel it a lot less. It'll burn for a lot longer. And then again, when getting down to like a nice hot embers, give it a quick shake around to spread the embers across the fire, and then place the next log on. So let's just close this down, and then we'll keep it burning like this for the time being, and then gradually close the tertiary burn off too. Just come back to this here now. Just needs a little bit more air, I think. So we're going to open that back up again. Open the door ajar and just let it become a little bit more established. It's always trial and error. They all work slightly differently. So you can see the flames rushing up again. Just got to make it a little bit more established. Then we'll close it down and work it on the tertiary area again. So we've given it just an extra couple of minutes there. So let's now close the door. And now you can see, yeah, the air's rushing through, lots of air coming in, nice and established. So again, we just leave this open for a little bit longer, and then you can gradually play with the stove, just gradually closing it off until you get to a nice level where it will burn for quite a long time. So just while this is settling in here, just going to run through a few features of the Newburn stoves. So they're all eco-design ready, Defra approved with 5-inch top and rear flue outlets, which is perfect for if you're installing a 5-inch liner or live in a smoke-free zone. Secondary burn system and the primary burn air, as we've discussed in this video, as well as a multi-fuel grate as standard. On the Idyllic range, you have the brass fitting option with the black handle, which looks good, and also a stainless steel handle if you prefer that look. Log guards, full fabric lining, primary and secondary baffle plates, painted in matte black finish, and on the base here, underneath the stove on the legs, you also have little levelling bolts, which helps out too. Cast iron door and steel bodied finish, as well as full heat resistant glass on the front. So looking at the stove now, it's getting pretty much there, and now you can gradually close off a little bit more. And you can see the reduction in the flames here. We're not all the way closed yet, but that's about where you want it now. If you close it off too much and it completely goes out, it is obviously going to die and the fire won't be going. But that's a good level now. That now continue to burn for quite a long time. Hope this video helps, but as always, we are happy to answer any questions. Thank you.